Reese, one word to describe today.
Only one word. Unreal. That's fire. Honestly, unreal.
When Caitlyn Clark stepped back onto the Carver Hawkeye Arena floor, something magical happened. The crowd erupted to 116 decibels during player introductions, louder than even some NFL and NBA games before she even touched the ball. But when Clark launched a 36-foot three-pointer from the exact spot where she broke Kelsey Plum's NCAA scoring record, the arena literally shook. 7 months away from basketball didn't change a thing. Caitlyn Clark's homecoming wasn't just a game. It was a statement about what's coming in 2025. In this video, we'll talk about the magical moments you may have missed during the celebrated game. If you're excited about the upcoming season, comment fired up for the Fever down below.
What does it mean to you to be going back to play at Iowa, but this time with your jersey in the rafters?
Yeah, I'm super excited to go back and play at Iowa. Obviously a place that has meant a lot to me, and we've had so many amazing games inside that arena, so it'll be fun to be back in front of those fans, and honestly to get to introduce those fans to all my new teammates. And the Indiana Fever I think will be really special because they love supporting all of us. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and I know it's gonna be a special day.
What happens when a hometown hero returns after conquering the basketball world? Iowa City gave us the answer, and it was louder than anyone expected. Hours before tip-off, fans lined up outside Carver Hawkeye Arena. They weren't just there for the game. They wanted to see warm-ups to breathe the same air as Caitlyn Clark for as long as possible. The line wrapped around the building, people standing in the Mayweather just waiting for doors to open. All this for a preseason game that wouldn't count in any standings.
What are you the most excited to show your teammates around campus?
Ooh. Honestly, I'm most excited to show them how cool Iowa City is. Like, people don't realize how good of a college town that place is. My teammates just expect it to be cornfield, but I'm like, no, it's one of the greatest colleges. So, yeah, downtown Iowa City is where it's at. So we'll give them a little tour, and I'm sure they're going to want to come back.
7 months is a long time in basketball. 7 months away from professional competition made us miss every single moment Clark was on the court. What will she do in her first play? Will she hit a logo three? Those questions got answered the moment Clark stepped onto the court. The roar was immediate. Not just any cheer. We're talking about noise that hit 116 decibels during player introductions. That's louder than most NFL games. Louder than playoff basketball. All for a player introduction in a preseason game.
Yeah, getting to go back to Iowa, it's so exciting. I obviously haven't really been there much since I left about a year ago. And I think just getting to see people that have supported me throughout my career and continue to support me is gonna be incredible. But also, like, they're the biggest Indiana Fever fans too now. Like, they wanna meet all my teammates. They wanna cheer for my teammates. And I was telling some of the girls this the other day, I'm like, they're gonna go crazy for you too.
This wasn't just any arena for Clark. This was Carver Hawkeye, the place where she became a household name, where she broke records that seemed unbreakable, where she turned women's college basketball into must-see TV. Iowa is now called the epicenter of women's basketball because of Clark. The walls of this building had seen her grow from promising freshman to basketball icon, and the fans, they paid an average of $670 per ticket. That's not regular season prices. That's not playoff prices. That's, I need to be there for a historic moment prices. Some drove hours across state lines, took days off work just to see their hero back on her home court.
Good luck finding affordable tickets for the Indiana Fever preseason game against Brazil at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Seats at the arena for the May 4th matchup between the Indiana Fever and Brazil were first offered to season ticket holders and a few top donors. It didn't take long for them to be gone.
Even Clark's teammates understood the significance. Lexi Hull wore a 22 Iowa jersey during pregame. A beautiful gesture acknowledging this wasn't just another game for her teammate. This was a homecoming.
They're gonna have signs about you. They want your autograph. They want a high five from you. And I think that's what I appreciate about them the most is like they wanna cheer not only for myself, but everybody else on this team. And they have so much fun watching us. So now getting to take the Indiana Fever to them and their environment, I was telling Lexi and some of the other girls this other day is like, this will be the loudest arena you have ever played in. They're gonna scream, they're gonna cheer. When I tell them to get up, they're gonna get up. So it'll be fun to get to go back there since my last time playing there in the NCAA tournament my senior year, so it should be really special.
The emotion hit Clark too. You could see it in her eyes during warm-ups, scanning the familiar arena, now packed to its 15,000 person capacity. This building launched her into basketball immortality, and now she returned as something even bigger, a professional who had changed the game forever. But this homecoming wasn't just about nostalgia and ceremonies. As Clark took the floor for tip-off, it became clear this night wasn't just symbolic. It was the perfect showcase to prove that her connection to Iowa remained unbroken, and her basketball brilliance had only grown stronger during her time away. The ball went up for the opening tip, and the entire arena leaned forward in their seats. Clark settled into position, and that familiar focus returned to her eyes. No one in that arena could have predicted how perfectly the night would unfold for Clark and her teammates. But they were about to find out, and the journey would start with a shot that would bring the house down.
Clark, pull up three, you bet!
In sports, some moments go beyond just points on a scoreboard. They tell a story all by themselves. Right off the jump, Clark hits the first basket, and you guessed it, a three-pointer. Who knew that was just a warm-up to what would happen later in the game when Caitlyn Clark pulled up from 36 feet out in the third quarter at Carver Hawkeye Arena? With 25 seconds left on the clock, she took 3 quick dribbles and launched a shot that wasn't just a basket. It was Clark announcing to everyone that she was back.
The better-looking possessions of the day for Brazil. Here's Clark. Wow! You bet! From beyond the logo! And a little point afterward.
Early in the game, you could see Clark settling into her rhythm. The same confidence, the same court vision that made her a legend at Iowa was still there. Her movements looked familiar to everyone who had watched her dominate college basketball. The passes were crisp, the decisions quick, the smile unmistakable. The Brazil national team was already struggling to keep up with the Fever's offense when Clark crossed half court with that look in her eyes. You know the one where she sees something nobody else does. The defenders backed up, but not far enough. What made this moment even more special? The exact spot on the floor where Clark pulled up wasn't random. It was the very same location where she had broken Kelsey Plum's scoring record during her senior season. History repeating itself in the most perfect way. Now with her new team and under her retired jersey, without a hint of hesitation, Clark launched the ball from way beyond the three-point line. The shot arched high above the defense in that signature trajectory that Hawkeye fans had seen hundreds of times before. The ball swished through the net without touching the rim, adding that extra touch of magic to an already electric moment.
We know she was dealing with a lot coming off Iowa National Championship game, entering the WNBA, big time transition. I understand that, but we also have to hold these WNBA referees accountable because they played a big factor in the assault Caitlyn Clark took for the 2024 season because they did not call a bunch of calls that should have been fouls, bro.
The WNBA has a major referee problem, and Caitlyn Clark's rookie season is where this whole controversy sparked. I'm about to show you footage that's going to completely shift how you see her battles in the league. From dubious technical fouls to blatant missed calls on clear contact. The pattern is hard to ignore. And here's the thing. It matters because no matter how much the Indiana front office improves, whether through coaching changes or bringing in better free agents, nothing will actually change if the officiating stays this way.
Yeah, we know the Indiana Fever front office did everything they had to do, put the right pieces around Caitlyn Clark, make sure they make it far in the playoffs, and possibly get a WNBA championship.
Clark's experience isn't just her own struggle. It's exposing bigger issues that could define the future of the entire WNBA.
Prime example, what really made me start thinking about this was the DJ Currington situation. They didn't call nothing on that for her poking Caitlyn Clark in the eye, and that really had me thinking, like, how many times did they actually, drop the ball and didn't call stuff against Caitlyn?
Have you ever watched a basketball game and felt like the refs were just gunning for one player? That's exactly what went down with Caitlyn Clark last season, and I've got the proof to back it up. When Clark entered the WNBA, viewership skyrocketed, record-breaking numbers everywhere. But while all eyes were on Clark, something strange was going on with the way the games were being called.
Caitlyn got called for a technical for hitting the back of the backboard, but somebody viciously clotheslined her. We're not getting a call for that. And I just wondered, if they would have done it a little different, just start calling stuff for people assaulting Caitlyn Clark, that would have kind of minimized the pressure and minimized the assault I believe she would have took for the 2024 season. And going into this new season, once again, they're held responsible, bro.
The story around Clark's rookie season was all about her adjusting to the physicality of the pro game, but that's a huge oversimplification of what actually went down. Refs consistently turned a blind eye to obvious fouls. She was getting crushed on drives, shoved on jumpers, and roughed up off the ball. Remember that offensive foul call on June 13th against Seattle? Clark made a basic dribble move, yet the whistle blew out of nowhere. The commentators were left scratching their heads. "I'm not seeing the foul there," one said, as the replay showed barely any contact at all.
Second personal. Let's take a look.
I think we ought to be able to see it from this angle. I don't see how that's an offensive foul to me.
Now, that was called an offensive foul on Caitlyn Clark. Do we all remember that play? How was that an offensive foul, bro? How remotely is this right here an offensive foul, dog? How? Like, I'm just not getting that. But that was the call that was put on Caitlyn Clark.
This wasn't a one-off thing. It was a pattern. Watching her season felt like watching a game where the umpire was clearly biased, like the whole thing was rigged. When you go back and review the footage, it's impossible to ignore. The way Clark was officiated was just different. A'ja Wilson and Breanna Stewart made the same exact moves and got favorable calls, while Clark did the same and ended up with a foul.
I am not letting up on them damn WNBA referees, because they are the biggest haters when it comes to Caitlyn Clark, bro. I know we got haters everywhere, but nobody is worse than these WNBA referees.
Defenders treated Clark differently because they knew they could get away with more. They bumped her on drives, invaded her landing space on jumpers, and hand-checked her nonstop, all without facing any consequences.
Unnecessary. Kennedy Carter.
Seattle, and all of a sudden, we're pretty close. This has been as close as it's been all second quarter long, 44.
Clark's usage rate and driving frequency should have meant way more free throw attempts for someone with her offensive workload. Averaging just 3.7 free throws a game is ridiculous. Other rookies with similar styles were getting to the line nearly twice as often, yet Clark missed out on countless free throw opportunities that should have been hers.
Because there was also a stat that came out a few weeks ago that said Caitlyn Clark received 17% of the WNBA's flagrant fouls this season, and 80% of those flagrant fouls were committed by the Chicago Sky against Caitlyn Clark.
The impact wasn't just about the stats. Adjusting to a faster, stronger league is tough enough. But realizing the refs are using a completely different rulebook for you? That messes with your confidence, decision-making, and rhythm. And as the season went on, it only got worse. Once defenders realized they could get away with extra contact, they went after her even harder, with no consequences in sight.
But when you have the face of your league getting nearly 20% of all flagrant fouls called against her, that is an issue. And that's not just an issue that the players have to work out. That is from top down. That goes to the commissioner level. Like, that is the level that needs to control these kinds of things.
The targeting of Caitlyn Clark went from bad to straight up dangerous. And I'm not even exaggerating here. There's footage that shows Clark getting completely flattened while driving to the rim, and not a single whistle from the refs. How is that even possible in professional basketball? Take a look at this.
They're going to pick up Caitlyn Clark from the second she touches the basketball. That's what Burton did there. All over Caitlyn going inside. I mean, that's a foul.
When you watch the games, it's clear. Clark was playing under a whole different rule book than everyone else. In one jaw-dropping game, she drives toward the basket and gets absolutely leveled. You can literally hear the commentators shouting, "That's a foul!" in disbelief. But the refs, they just stood there, whistle silent, like nothing even happened.
She's coming down the court. Wow. It looked like Morena did that to her, bro. But that's what I'm talking about.
This quickly turned into a disturbing pattern. Clark was knocked to the floor 3 separate times in one game, and not one whistle was blown. It was like watching someone walk a tightrope with the safety net taken away on purpose. Every fan watching at home could see it unfold right before their eyes, screaming at their screens in frustration.
A tag on his page stated, "This has been pretty much the whole game. No call fouls for Caitlyn Clark. The WNBA and their officials now know how to screw up a good thing."
The contrast in how players defended Clark compared to other guards tells the whole story. Take Marina Mabrey, for example. Her defensive approach against other players versus how she guarded Clark was like night and day. Mabrey figured out fast that she could get away with a lot more physical contact on Clark without facing any consequences from the refs. Remember that Carrington incident?
You can see Caitlyn comes off a screen here. She dribbles back to her right hand, and then she's going for the pass to Aaliyah Boston when Dejanay jumps up, seemingly looking to try to steal the ball, and then hits her in the face. Caitlyn is on the ground, the ball goes in the opposite direction, and the Connecticut Sun score. The internet doing what the internet does, they found a second angle to this play, and this is where a lot of fans were saying that this was intentional. It's in slow motion, as you can see here. Dejanay is going up for the ball, she misses, and then her hand bends down like this and goes straight into Caitlyn's eye.
Clark got straight up poked in the eye. A dangerous move and a clear foul by any standard. But the refs just swallowed their whistles and didn't even review the play. Meanwhile, in that same quarter, another player got called for barely grazing an opponent's arm. The double standard was so blatant, it felt like watching 2 completely different sports being played on the same court. It got so obvious that even former WNBA refs spoke out. One former ref pointed out that the officiating standard for Clark was noticeably different compared to everyone else. And that's not coming from just some upset fans. That's from someone who knows the rulebook inside and out.
The tag on this will say, "How can the WNBA justify these referees? Caitlyn Clark gets blatantly fouled twice, no call. I guess that's the playoffs, but these are bad."
What we witnessed wasn't just a few missed calls. It was a dangerous pattern that put Clark's safety at risk. Each ignored infraction only emboldened defenders further. What began as extra contact quickly escalated into dangerous plays. Some of these actions resembled football tackles more than basketball defense. When refs don't protect the player, the physicality only intensifies. Clark wasn't just facing tough defense. She was in real danger of injury while the refs stood by, letting it happen game after game.
Caitlyn Clark is going to spend all of next season playing in NBA arenas. We've got rival fans being furious that, Caitlyn Clark is that she's getting, new arenas, getting moved to new arenas. You've got people saying that they're pushing the Fever. Why are they pushing the Fever?
Caitlyn Clark isn't just making waves, she's flooding the league. WNBA franchises are practically abandoning their home courts like they've been hit with a fire alarm that says, Caitlyn's coming. Teams like Atlanta, Chicago, Connecticut, Dallas, Las Vegas, and Washington, D.C. are all scrambling to larger venues just to handle the Clark impact. Meanwhile, Angel Reese is probably doom-scrolling, wondering why her name isn't splashed across those massive billboards.
One thing is very clear. The Indiana Fever is America's team. And boy, the haters by the time this season is over, their heads are going to have exploded already. They're going to be so angry by the end of this WNBA season. I mean, it's going to be hilarious watching the daily meltdown.
Take a moment to absorb this. WNBA teams are willingly leaving behind their cherished home courts to make room for one rookie phenom. This isn't hype. This is history in the making. 6 different franchises are moving their games to NBA arenas, meaning every Indiana Fever road game is now played in a venue with at least 15,000 seats. This isn't about following a trend. It's because Caitlyn Clark has the kind of draw that fills arenas like no one else in the league. While some teams are still playing in what feel like converted gymnasiums, Caitlyn's impact demands NBA-level venues. That's the kind of territory reserved for superstars.
That there are 6 WNBA teams that have moved their games to NBA or NBA size arenas.
Let's not kid ourselves. These aren't just slightly larger gymnasiums. These are full-blown arena upgrades. The Atlanta Dream are stepping up to the State Farm Arena. The Chicago Sky, yes, the same team that once treated Angel Reese like the second coming of Michael Jordan, are now dialing it back with 2 games at the United Center. And it's not for Reese, it's for Clark. Because unless the Indiana Fever are in town, Reese might as well be playing at a local community center. Even the Aces, with their glitz and trophies, are booking the T-Mobile Arena just to prepare for the Fever frenzy.
Caitlyn Clark, the people's champion! Let's get it!
That's a deep one.
Bang!
Just announced that Caitlyn Clark and the Fever will be playing 41 of 44 games this year on national TV. They're coming to watch the other girl, right? Right?
Bang!
Teams are moving their games with the Fever to NBA arenas so they can sell more tickets. How about that?
Bang!
Angel Reese attempted a 3 this deep. I think she might dislocate her shoulder.
Bang!
You want some butter with that bread? Butter. Butter.
Butter pecan! Bang!
It's honestly hilarious when you think about it. Just last season, these teams were all acting like Caitlyn Clark was just another rookie. We don't need her, they boasted, chests puffed. The league is fine without her. And now, here we are. The same teams are practically begging for court space big enough to accommodate the Clark crowds. It's not just about rolling out the red carpet anymore. It's like tearing up the road and rebuilding it with gold bricks.
Atlanta Dream moved 1 game to the State Farm Arena. Chicago Sky moved 2 games to the United Center. Home of the Bulls, home of the Blackhawks. In Atlanta, by the way, that's the home of the Hawks. Connecticut Sun moved 1 game to TD Garden. Home of the NBA Celtics. That's going to look really freaking cool on TV.
Special shout out to Connecticut. This franchise doesn't even have an NBA arena nearby. So what do? They pack up and move the whole operation to Boston. Yep, new state, new zip code, new everything, just to make room for Caitlyn Clark. That's not just special treatment, that's royalty-level hospitality. Can you imagine if Angel Reese tried to pull the same stunt? They'd probably laugh her all the way to some suburban middle school gym.
We're now at the stage where Caitlyn Clark is probably going to be responsible. I'm not joking when I say this. For like games where she plays in are probably going to be responsible for like 30% of the attendance in the WNBA.
And it doesn't stop there. The Dallas Wings and Washington Mystics are also moving their Clark matchups to larger venues, complete with extra seating, luxury suites, and, let's face it, bigger profit margins. This isn't a coincidence, it's strategic planning. When Caitlyn Clark rolls into town, it's not just a game, it's an economic boom. One ESPN analyst even dubbed her the WNBA's walking GDP boost. He meant it as a joke, but honestly, the numbers speak for themselves.
There are teams that are going to average 3,000 fans at games. but have 17,000 fans when Caitlyn Clark shows up to town with the Fever.
Now, let's check in on the critics. The same ones who were screaming from the rooftops that Clark was overhyped have suddenly gone awfully quiet. Why? Because their arenas are packed, their jerseys are flying off the shelves, and their TV ratings are through the roof. All thanks to the player they once claimed didn't matter. And as for Angel Reese, she's still stewing over her not-so-unrivaled championship, watching Caitlyn dominate the spotlight, the schedule, and the arenas.
The Phoenix Mercury play in the NBA arena. The Seattle Storm do. There are 13 WNBA teams, 7 already playing NBA arenas. The other 6 are moving their games to NBA arenas versus the Fever. You can't acknowledge that she is the needle mover. Yeah.
Before Caitlyn Clark hit the WNBA, the average game barely drew 6,000 fans, about as many as you'd see at a high school pep rally. But Clark? She's effortlessly filling 20,000-seat arenas like it's no big deal. That's not just an increase, that's triple the usual turnout. These fans aren't there for the home team, they're showing up for her. WNBA execs are practically falling over themselves, openly admitting they'd give up home court advantage just to cash in on the Clark phenomenon. That's not hype. That's a walking ATM and sneakers.
I believe there was actually a debate on who was Rookie of the Year last year. Imagine being that delusional. Bang! People need to understand she saved this league. Powder, there's no TV deals, no ad sponsorships, heck, no shoe deals for you, Angel Reese, no McDonald's money. The league losing millions of dollars each year. She saved them from bankruptcy. Time to be grateful. Bang! 93% of her games on national TV. She's like that. Bang!
Let's talk numbers. WNBA attendance shot up by 48% last season, and unless your math is off, that increase has Caitlyn Clark's name written all over it. Teams aren't just scheduling her games, they're building their entire season around her appearances. The Las Vegas Aces, the same team that snickers whenever Clark's name trends, have quietly moved multiple games to the T-Mobile Arena. Why? Because they know the Caitlyn Effect is the real MVP. All the eye rolls and cryptic tweets aside, even they can't deny she's the main attraction.
Now we've got some more information on the games and some perspective. Here we are. Indiana Fever put this out, man, just a few minutes ago. All eyes on us. 41 of our 44 games are on national television.
Now, here's where it gets wild. Caitlyn Clark has secured 41 nationally televised games this season. That's not just more airtime than any other player. It's more than entire franchises have had in years. We're talking ESPN, ABC, CBS, NBA TV. Every network wants a piece of the Clark action. It's a broadcast feeding frenzy, and trust me, no one's settling for leftovers.
The most television games in franchise history, the most national television games in for a single team in WNBA history. How about that?
Last season, the Indiana Fever were basically an afterthought. They were the dusty book collecting cobwebs on the bottom shelf, overlooked and forgotten. But with Caitlyn Clark in the mix, they've transformed into the league's golden child, now the star attraction in every primetime slot. The same team that struggled at the bottom of the standings is now the crown jewel of WNBA coverage. And you know that's stinging players like Angel Reese. For years, they assumed the throne was just waiting for them. But then Caitlyn Clark shows up, shattering records, drawing massive ratings, and showing off a range that leaves everyone in the dust. Suddenly, it's her show, and the spotlight's all hers.
Loyola University basketball coach Cheryl Swoops, she's under investigation, accused of mistreating players. One of them is speaking out this morning, telling us why she wanted to transfer. ABC's Lindsay Davis is here with the details. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Lara. Cheryl Swoops was the first woman to ever sign with the WNBA. But this morning, the college coach is not only under fire, but under investigation after reports that the majority of her roster has decided to leave.
They fired her. They didn't just replace Cheryl Swoops, they booted her out. And why? Because of Caitlyn Clark.
There's a lot of other going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
Over there?
Yeah.
Yeah. Some new shit going on around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I don't
want to be here.
This is where I want to be.
Yeah. Now listen.
Months ago, Swoops sat on her high horse predicting disaster for the Indiana Fever. She, Miss Caitlyn Clark, boldly claimed no one would want to play in Indiana and confidently declared that top-tier talent would never sign there.
Hey, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for checking out this video. As always, appreciate your support. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Shout out to the 19. Let's go. So I wanted to do a little bit of a dive into the Fever roster, what that looks like. Now that we've gotten through the bulk of the free agency offseason, we've seen a lot of changes.
Fast forward to today, and the Fever just made the most game-changing free agency move in WNBA history.
The way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us early, that next game. So.
Superstar signings, game changers, and swoops.
So y'all can record this, you cannot record it, but the biggest thing I want everybody to hear me say right now.
She's been strangely silent. Ever seen someone talk a big game, then disappear? That's exactly what's going down right now. Indiana just dropped a statement that's sending ripples through the entire league, and we're here to dissect every bit of it.
All right, Hoop Queens, gather around because we've got some major tea brewing in the WNBA. Indiana Fever just landed Brianna Turner in free agency. Brianna Turner, let that sink in.
Before we dive into the good stuff, take a moment to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Keep up with all the latest WNBA news, expert analysis, and the drama you won't get anywhere else. Now, let's get into it.
But I think you're starting to get a little bit more shine from maybe the casual fan, and maybe some folks who maybe didn't know or haven't seen Indiana as much as they've seen this year.
I agree.
So what's that part like, getting that little bit more attention and getting a little bit more shine and getting the recognition that...
The Indiana Fever just shook up free agency like never before. They didn't just add players, they built a juggernaut. You know that feeling when you go all out in franchise mode on a video game? Well, that's exactly what Indiana just did. They went all in, loading up their roster with seasoned champions, fierce competitors, and players who've got both game and attitude. This wasn't just another off-season, it was a full-on power play.
Yes. Wait. Yep. You look good on me, huh? Look good. Like a whole 360. Like, I think I was talking to my wife about it. I'm like, man, what if I go back to Indiana where I started? That'd be crazy. Look where I'm at.
First up, they snagged Natasha Howard, a 3-time WNBA champion and one of the fiercest defensive forces around. Howard doesn't just defend, she shuts players down. Her ability to lock down anyone, protect the rim, and control the boards takes Indiana's defense to a whole new level.
Going for your services, Dawana, so why was this the right opportunity for you?
I just feel like it was the location for one. My kids are literally right up the road, and I've spent a lot of time away from them, so that and the core that they have here now is just kind of want to fit in, and be another piece of the puzzle, and hopefully bring the energy dynamic and take us to a different level in the playoffs.
Next up, they brought in Dawana Bonner, a scoring powerhouse who's a nightmare for any defender. Bonner adds leadership, championship pedigree, and that clutch gene that turns the Fever into a serious playoff contender.
In Sophie Cunningham, the Indiana Fever are trading for a multi-dimensional wing, capable of knocking down the 3-ball.
Cunningham is starting to cook. Cunningham 3 is good.
Cunningham from the corner, locking down defenders.
Several deflections, and this time she gets the steal and the N1 opportunity.
And they weren't finished yet. Enter Sophie Cunningham, a walking spark plug, bold, trash-talking, and always ready to ignite her team and the crowd. She thrives in clutch moments, playing with a chip on her shoulder, exactly the kind of energy Indiana was craving. And to cap it all off, they added Sydney Coulson, a seasoned vet with championship DNA, the kind of player who holds it all together behind the scenes. Coulson's leadership in the locker room will be just as vital as what she brings on the court. This isn't just a team full of talent, it's a roadmap to success. The Fever didn't sit around waiting for greatness. They went out and created it.
And that's where you brought up the Fever. I think what I've learned in my WNBA experience is pace of play trumps physicality, it trumps size, it can trump experience, because a lot of times when you're experienced, it's really like code word for your veteran, which is code word for your old.
Slow the pace.
Yeah. So I feel like
I know that's why you guys were so good for those
in
years.
2018 and 2020, the years we won, that was our whole mantra, was pace, 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 pace. And what I see in Caitlyn.
For months, the media pushed the same old story. Nobody wants to play for Indiana. The franchise was labeled a dead zone, a place elite players wouldn't even think about. Analysts wrote off the Fever, critics laughed off any chance of big signings, and Cheryl Swoops all but mocked the idea of Indiana drawing in top-tier free agents. To most, the Fever were just another struggling team with no real appeal in the league.
Her face, unable to hit. Bree Jones, another 0 board for Connecticut. Better look for Mabry. Off the mark.
But here we are now. Indiana didn't just sign free agents, they snagged some of the top talent out there. The same team everyone claimed couldn't draw stars just assembled one of the most lethal rosters in the WNBA. Natasha Howard, DeWanna Bonner, Sophie Cunningham, Sydney Coulson. These aren't just bodies filling spots. These are game changers, battle-tested vets, players who could have signed anywhere but chose Indiana. That alone smashes the false narrative about the Fever being a dead-end destination. Now, the same analysts who wrote them off are scrambling. That nobody wants to play there, take, gone, like expired milk. The entire perception of the Fever flipped overnight, and it all boils down to one undeniable truth. They built a culture players want to be part of. With Caitlyn Clark in the mix, a front office making bold moves, and a roster that's suddenly one of the league's best, Indiana isn't just back, they're a problem.
Oh, it's a triple-double for Caitlyn. What a reaction by Coulson. Well, how about the knowledgeable fans in this building? They burst out of their seats like it was a game winner.
Let's cut to the chase. This is the Caitlyn Clark effect. Plain and simple. Caitlyn Clark isn't just any rookie trying to find her footing in the league. She's a franchise-changing force. The kind of player who doesn't just lift her team, but redefines the entire WNBA landscape. The Indiana Fever, a team that's been stuck in the mud for years, is suddenly the most talked about squad in the league, and that's no fluke. Clark's arrival has turned this franchise into a destination, one that's not only worth watching, but one that top players actually want to join.
So when you talk about the young girls that came in, Caitlyn Clark, Angel Reese, rookie class, really hyping up the league coming from college to the WNBA, what has that done for you and the buzz of this entire league?
I think it's so positive. I really do. I think it's a fun time to be a part of the W. I truly believe that. I think the skill and the talent has always been there, but now it's just the viewership. And so I give a big old clap to the rookie class. I think that's a lot to deal with when you're at that age and you have that many eyes on you. But I think they've done a great job in the league as well. I think the physicality and all that they're going to get used to, but I think especially Caitlyn Clark, she's been killing it.
When Sophie Cunningham signed with Indiana, she didn't sugarcoat it. Caitlyn Clark was a factor. Players aren't just hearing about Clark's insane shooting range or flashy assists. They're hearing about her leadership, her competitive edge, and her ability to elevate those around her. That's the kind of player you want to play with. She's a magnet, drawing both talent and attention to a team that used to be flying under the radar.
I'm going to use her word. I want to see her continue to be a dog. She is a dog. Here's what I'll say about Angel. I love the fact that she's just her, right? And she says she's unapologetically Angel. She plays hard, both ends of the floor. It doesn't matter what the score is. The thing that I think people question wasn't so much about her game or her rebounding, but it was the scoring. And the fact that she is either averaging or almost averaging a double-double is pretty impressive to do from anybody, but in particular a rookie. I just love how she's come into this league. She's embraced the bumps, the bruises. She's embraced the good with the bad. And I love watching her play because she plays hard the entire game.
Let's talk about Cheryl Swoops. She thought Clark was overhyped. Just another college standout who'd take years to make her mark in the pros. But the truth? Clark is already leading the league in assists, dropping 40-point games like it's no big deal, and flipping the power dynamics in the WNBA. Indiana isn't just improving, they're becoming a serious threat, and Clark's the one making it happen.
Pin down here, wide open.
Caitlyn Clark's impact goes way beyond what's happening on the court. Yeah, she's lighting up defenses and setting records, but what's unfolding off the floor is just as game-changing. She's driving record ticket sales, smashing TV viewership numbers, and getting people to care about the WNBA like never before. Every Fever game feels like an event, and any matchup with Clark, must-watch TV. This isn't just a rising star. This is a movement.
Swoops has it, turns in the air for the game. Oh,
Before becoming one of the most electrifying players in WNBA history, Cheryl Swoops was a sensation on the college stage, leading Texas Tech to the 1993 NCAA title with a record-setting 47-point performance in the championship game.
Cheryl Swoops didn't see this coming. She thought Clark would have to earn her place, struggle, and prove herself over time. Instead, Clark stepped into the league and immediately took it by storm. Now, she's the main reason why the Indiana Fever has become the go-to spot for top-tier talent. Players want to team up with her, coaches want to build around her, and fans can't get enough. The old guard of the WNBA wasn't ready for this, but now they've got no choice but to accept it. For years, the WNBA waited for a player who could change the game, someone who could bring mainstream attention, pack arenas, and spark a real shift in the sport. The truth? That player's already here. Caitlyn Clark isn't waiting her turn. She's rewriting the rules in real time.
It's like a greatest hits collection of missed layups. I can't even believe this is real. I just stumbled across of it. There's 2 different videos now floating around out there, and it's unbelievable.
Angel Reese just pulled off the biggest bluff in WNBA history. Pay me more or I'm out. The problem? She followed up that bold ultimatum with a performance that had fans scratching their heads, wondering if she was auditioning for a home renovation show instead of playing basketball. It wasn't just a bad night, it was a bricklaying masterpiece. After demanding superstar money on her podcast, Reese hit the court and immediately went 5 for 13 in her next unrivaled game. And if you think that's bad, one of those shots didn't just miss. It slammed into the bottom of the backboard like it was trying to make a quick exit from the gym. The timing couldn't have been worse for her argument, or better for anyone who loves a good laugh.
Because I'm hearing like, yeah, they don't give us, if y'all don't give us what we want, like, we sitting out.
That's a possibility.
I guarantee you, the intelligent folks, and there are plenty in the WNBA, are saying, will you two idiots just shut up? Sit out.
Girl, y'all benefited from everything. Y'all youngins benefited from NIL.
What does that mean? We deserve more.
So, let's break it down. Have you ever wondered what would happen if a WNBA player threatened to hold the whole league hostage over salary demands? Well, Angel Reese just gave us the answer, and it's pure comedy. On a recent episode of her podcast, Unapologetically Angel, which, let's be real, should be called unintentionally comedic, Reese sat down with her partner in delusion, Carrington, and dropped what might be the most dramatic ultimatum in league history. She didn't just ask for more money, she straight up suggested that if she doesn't get what she wants, she's ready to boycott.
I love how y'all have selective hearing. I said I'm hearing if they don't give us what we want, we sitting out. And that's the truth. Good.
This is the same person that literally said she didn't know what her WNBA salary was and that it didn't even cover her rent.
Yep, you heard that right. Angel Reese, who hasn't proved herself as a WNBA force, thinks she has the leverage to shake the league. But when your argument is pay me more, the last thing you should do is turn in a performance that even league players would cringe at. While Reese was demanding superstar treatment, Caitlyn Clark was actually playing like one, breaking records, filling arenas, and making her shots. Reese? Turning layups into blooper reels? So, is the WNBA scared of her boycott threat? Or is Reese just giving fans another laugh?
My expectation is to be one of the best players in the world one day. I wouldn't expect anything less than that.
More history for the Fever rookie.
At this point, continue to be myself, and I think a lot of good will come from that.
The moment Angel Reese hit the court after her bold boycott threat, it was like the basketball gods were having a laugh. If you're demanding superstar money, you better play like one, right? Well, Reese's game film from that night looked more like a tutorial on how not to finish at the rim.
Gets to Sykes, lofts it up. Reese on the cleanup. Power dribble to separate.
Facing off against Aaliyah Boston's Vinyl Basketball Club in the unrivaled league, Reese had the perfect chance to prove she deserved a bigger paycheck. Instead, she put on a clinic and missed layups. We're talking wide-open shots, point-blank attempts, and bunnies that didn't just rim out. They smacked off the backboard like someone forgot to adjust her shot meter. The timing of this meltdown couldn't have been worse. Just days after claiming her WNBA salary doesn't even cover one of her bills, she delivered a performance that had fans wondering if the rent was due mid-game. At one point, it almost looked like her teammates stopped passing her the ball, maybe out of secondhand embarrassment.
She just threatened the lockout. If y'all don't give us what we want, we sitting out. This is why sometimes you probably should have somebody look over a podcast. She's threatening to go on strike. I actually understand it's the way negotiations work in the CBA, not on a podcast.
Let's rewind for a second. Reese's rookie contract pays her about $73,000 this year, part of a 4-year, $325,000 deal. Pretty standard for WNBA rookies. But according to Angel, that salary barely covers her basic expenses. She went viral on TikTok complaining that the WNBA doesn't even pay one of my bills, and then casually dropped that she's paying $8,000 per month in rent, adding up to $96,000 a year, which is more than her entire WNBA salary.
I just hope y'all know, the WNBA don't pay my bills at all. I don't even think that pays one of my bills. I'm gonna do the math real quick.
He might cover that. Yeah, it covers that. It definitely covers that.
What is I don't even know my salary.
Look, nobody's saying she can't live the lifestyle she wants, but maybe, just maybe, if your rent alone is more than your entire WNBA salary, the problem isn't the league, it's called budgeting, Angel. But instead of rethinking her approach, Reese doubled down on her boycott threat, jumping on social media to make it clear she wasn't just talking big. She meant it. She's ready to sit out if her financial demands aren't met.
No, my rent is more than that. It's $8,000. I'm living beyond my means.
Here's where it gets even funnier. One of her biggest complaints? That future rookies, like USC's Juju Watkins, might end up making more money than her. Reese said, the ones coming in this year will still be on the rookie contract, but the ones after that, they probably gonna be making more than us. The women coming in, what, not this year, but next year, the ones coming in this year will still be on the rookie contract, but the ones the year after, they gonna get more.
But the women coming in, not this year, but next year. Yeah. The ones coming in this year will still be on the rookie contract again. Mm-hmm. The ones that the year after, they gonna get more. They probably gonna be making more than us.
That's not injustice, Angel. That's just how professional sports contracts work. She signed a 4-year rookie scale deal. Even if the WNBA negotiates a new CBA that raises rookie salaries, she's still locked into the contract she signed. That's how every league operates. Imagine if every second-year NBA player demanded a raise just because the salary cap went up. Yeah, It doesn't work that way.
Like if I'm an NBA owner, I didn't get rich by wasting a couple million on something that has no chance of making money. These two, sit out, see what happens. Now, I would miss watching the Fever. I would miss watching Caitlyn Clark, but I wouldn't miss anything else.
And let's not forget, the WNBA still lost around $40 million last season. They're not exactly swimming in NBA-level revenue. The league can't just start ripping up contracts because Angel Reese doesn't like hers anymore.
You lost 40, 50 million. You know who would clap for you all sitting out? The NBA. So they don't have to subsidize your dumbasses to the tune of 40 to 50 million a year.
But let's get back to what really matters: performance. If you're going to demand special treatment, you better play like an all-star. Instead, Reese is out here missing layups like she's trying to test the backboard's durability. So, let's be real. If Angel Reese thinks she's too good for her WNBA contract, maybe she should start proving it on the court, because right now, the only thing she's leading the league in is missed layups. The numbers tell a completely different story. Angel Reese can talk all she wants about being one of the faces of the WNBA, but when you actually look at the ratings, it's clear the real draw has nothing to do with her. In fact, when she played without Caitlyn Clark on the other side of the court, the viewership numbers took a nosedive.
Angel Reese last night, once again, had one of the worst shooting games in the history of planet Earth. For what's supposed to be a big? I mean, what in the hell is going on here? I understand her team won. I get it. 5 of 13 from the field. 13 rebounds, 5 offensive rebounds, only 10 points.
Here's the cold, hard truth. People aren't tuning in to watch Angel Reese miss layups and gripe about her paycheck. No, they're tuning in for real star power, and we all know who that is. Let's be honest here. If Reese was truly the ratings juggernaut she claims to be, wouldn't her games be packed to the rafters? Wouldn't her jersey be flying off the shelves? Wouldn't people be lining up just to get a glimpse of her in action? Instead, it's Caitlyn Clark who's dominating the WNBA in attendance, jersey sales, and viewership. Meanwhile, Reese is out here still acting like she's the one driving all the attention to the league, while posting a mere 39% from the field and missing layups that would make a middle school coach facepalm. The numbers don't lie. Clark is the one putting the league on the map, while Reese, well, she's just putting up bricks.